Welcome to our Startup with Ferris live stream. Thank you for tuning in. So, what's new in the world of entrepreneurship? Well, I've received a lot of questions about pricing. Many new business owners and even seasoned folks who are entering a new market, they struggle with sales as they play between two pricing extremes. They either range from overpricing the service, say they set a very high hourly rate, or they offer the service at such a low price that no one takes them seriously. People wonder if it's good, why is it so cheap? So in either case, uh, they end up not never closing even one deal until a lot of time passes. So to help you shorten that initial period of rejections, or maybe that hesitance to go out and sell, I want to cover two main things today. One is a few principles or pieces of advice you need to know to get your first clients. And then when when is it that offering your services at a hugely discounted rate or maybe for free, when that makes sense? And the points I will share, they of course apply to someone new to sales, as I said earlier, but they also apply to someone who is entering a new vertical they don't have experience in, and they're having a hard time breaking in. And even someone who is maybe stuck in a client tier and they want to go, let's say, from selling to small businesses, and they want to enter into the Fortune 500. And then also these principles and these pieces of advice, they also apply to someone who has maybe at once they had a lot of clients, but now their sales, the pipeline has dried up. So those are the things I want to cover today. And again, for those of you who maybe just new to our live stream, feel free to leave a question in the comment section on whatever platform you're in. Uh, but I want to remind the new listeners and the new viewers that I want to spend just one minute on this. Last week we talked about how to position your offering in a unique way. I covered how you can communicate the value of your service, the value of your business, and also yourself as a service provider or as a consultant, as someone that people whom people want to work with as a subject matter expert. And this positioning is essential because all business transactions are an exchange of value, or more precisely exchange of perceived value. So what I highlighted last week was that regardless of the fee structure that you eventually choose, or maybe the specific discount you offer to a client, uh, you have to price your service based at least partially on the value you deliver, or you'll be underpricing your service. I also covered, again, this is all last week, and I'm just giving a 1 minute summary here for those of you who might want to make a note and check this out later. If you're struggling with positioning yourself as a service provider that people, who people want to work with. So I also covered this concept of unique value proposition, another buzzword, UVP, which is a clear statement that communicates the unique benefits and values your services offer to your target audience, your customers. And keep in mind that just because you have this unique value proposition, um, you're the most knowledgeable, you deliver the fastest, the quality, you guarantee the quality, whatever those values are. Just because you have them, and there's true, not just perceived, it doesn't mean that leads will come rushing to you. And even if they do, it doesn't mean they'll buy from you right away, or they'll buy at the price point that you have in mind. So if you're struggling with closing your first deals, again, as a new business owner, or new deals in a new segment, a new sector, or new deals in a new tier of clients you want to get into, today's session is for you. And this is part of a series we're doing on pricing. Um, we covered positioning last week. We're covering how to break into the first few clients this week. And then in the next couple of weeks, we'll cover the different stages in your business, how the different stages in your business would require different pricing strategies, what works day one, week one, month one should not be the same in terms of pricing for, let's say, six months into the business or a year or two into the business. And we'll also cover the different pricing models, project based, hourly, value based, all that good stuff that you can adopt, and then how to benchmark a price for your service. So this is all the future. And before we jump into in the next couple of weeks, and before we jump into today's topic, a few housekeeping items as always. Again, continue to send us your questions either again in the comments on our YouTube channel, on our website, startupwithfaraz.com, and Faraz is spelled Feras, or we have a link to a Google form in the description. You can submit a question there. Two, whether you're watching or listening live or tuning in later, add your questions or any thoughts you have. Let me know. Let me know what is it that you're liking about what we're sharing with you. I'd love to hear from you on those topics that we've covered. And we've covered topics on hiring, on sales and marketing, on quarterly planning, and the fear of starting a business. I think this is our 24th live stream. So do let me know what you think about what we're sharing with you here. And then last but not least, maybe this is a promo for those who consume a lot of content on YouTube and on social media about making millions. Check out my video on making 4 million in 4 years. Now, this is not a gimmick. It's not a get rich quick scheme. The opposite. I showed by numbers. Yes, I showed all the math on how to get there, how to get to $4 million in 4 years. And I have references in that video from Paul Graham, who's one of the founders of the Y Combinator, YC, and also from Brian Chesky, one of the co-founders of Airbnb. I have reference from these folks and others backing up what I stated. So you can make $4 million in 4 years. It's an extreme way of looking at work, extreme but not possible. I got close to that extreme in a couple of my ventures in the past. Eventually, they paid off, but it was a rough patch. So that's all housekeeping. Now on to the topic, our topic of pricing and getting some sales. So let's jump right in. So if you are not selling, is it you? Is it the customer? Or is it the market or something totally outside of your control? If you're a new founder or you're trying to expand your business and you're not selling, let me be honest here. Again, no sugarcoating on this channel. It might be you. Now, you can say it's the type of service that I'm offering, it's not at the right quality, or it could be the way the service is priced, or maybe the market conditions are not favorable. Yeah, all of these could be contributing factors, but the fundamental area I want you to focus on is you and the way you sell. I'm not saying this to discourage you or for you to take it hard on yourself. Well, maybe just a little bit. I want you to be self-aware. This way you plan a path to sales success. And I'm saying it's you because most of us, when we start a business or initially when we get into sales, we don't have the skill intuitively. And as much as there is a science to sales, like all these mechanical things you're supposed to do, follow-ups, and obviously send a proposal and be responsive. All those are important and needed, but there's also a whole lot of art to sales as well. And no one can master an art overnight or in a few weeks or even in a few months. So you just have to get the reps in. It's a mindset. And I want to give you, it's not just about mindset today. I want to give you some specific steps, some specific things you can do. But my objective as you're doing the reps, I want to help you master sales and master growing the business with fewer reps than myself and others people I've learned from had to do, and also with a lot of fewer mistakes than I did when I was starting out my businesses many years ago. So think of the first time you rode the bike or maybe the first time you swam or spoke publicly, or if you're into martial arts like I am, the first few classes you took where you had no idea how to move your hands, how to move your feet, how to position yourself. You're probably, if you're riding the bike or again swimming, whatever, the first time, the first few times, the first several times, you were nervous, maybe shaking, stiff, stumbling, and maybe even thinking of quitting. That is all natural. In fact, if you're not nervous and going through these feelings, it's probably not natural, not normal. So fast forward a few months of riding a bike or practicing a martial art or whatever art you're into, and after a few months, you are maybe not a pro yet, but you're a very solid beginner or maybe a mid-level. Similarly, in business and sales, once you start selling and delivering, your confidence will increase over time, and you'll naturally begin to project confidence in every future sales interaction. And confidence is key. You can't sell without confidence. You can't sell without competence. Well, you can sell without competence, but that's a different thing. So that's just the mindset I want you to be in. If especially for, I mean, I speak with a lot of founders. I speak to 1 to 2 founders on the average every week. And some of them are doing amazing work. Some of them have uh, a very strong technical expertise in an area. Maybe they have 5, 10 years. They're really top consultants or top accountants or top 8 communication coaches, but they've never sold before. So I'm hoping that the specific approaches that I'm covering today will help you will help you, uh, you know, get that first sale, the second sale, the third sale, and will enable you to price. Will enable you to command the price point you want later. So initially, you might not be able to get to the price point that you need, you want, you like. But if you do these specific steps I'm covering today, I'm hoping, I'm certain that you'll be able to command a much better price point in the future, which will impact obviously your revenue and more importantly, what you take home, your bottom line. So let's see if we have any questions here. Yeah, we did. We are adding some links in the comments to the video I mentioned about making $4 million in 4 years. All right. So since we're talking about 4 things, so let's talk about 4 things you should do when starting out to land the clients you want. So the first piece of advice, and this is about pricing, this whole thing about pricing, but the first piece of advice is to just sell. What I mean by just sell is that I don't want you to worry too much about pricing. The overarching principle when it comes to pricing is that you shouldn't treat every deal and every prospect the same. You can and you should change your pricing based on many factors, like how valuable the service is to the lead, how desperately you need a client, what the market conditions are, and there are so many other factors. And even if you have to give big discounts or sell for free, which I'll cover later in this episode, that is fine. And I know I just said earlier, and I covered a whole hour on this last week about the unique value proposition, and that you should set yourself up as a service provider that people want to work with, and you can in your unique value proposition in your plan, you can have a goal of having a very high hourly rate or a high service price, even if that's your goal and that's what you should be doing, which I said I covered last week. I still want you to recognize that it's okay to offer deep discounts to the first few clients. And I don't want you to offer this discount sort of willy-nilly. People won't value that discount. You want to find a good reason to provide a discount. So maybe there's a special end of year special or the beginning of the year special, or maybe I saw something very creative. It was Earth Week, and someone who provide paperless services is, hey, in honor of Earth Week, we're offering this discount. So find a reason to give that discount. Ask for a testimonial. If it's someone in your network, you let them know that, hey, I'm starting a business and I'm giving you a deep discount. So the idea, I just want you to sell. Your aim at this early phase is to build a client base, and then gradually you work your way up to adding logos, hopefully bigger and better logos. Uh, and since that thing to keep in mind, since that your positioning hasn't changed, like just because you gave a discount to one or two or three clients initially, it could be again a hefty discount. Your positioning as a premium provider with a high hourly rate, that's not changing. No one else has to know about this. It's just those customers that you interacted with. And then as you get to practice pitching and selling, sending proposals, handling rejections, as you do this process, you know you'll be able to um, go to the, let's say, the fifth or the sixth or the seventh client, and show that now you have a client base, show the logos, and then you can demand and you can command, sorry, a higher price point. But initially, without clients, that is without selling to clients and without delivering what you sold to these clients, you're just not going to have that confidence. And people buy from people. People will, when you're pitching to them, when even if you're if you're doing this on the phone or on Zoom, people will sense that you don't have that. Maybe you're stiff or you have tension. So the reason I'm saying just sell initially, no matter what the price point, is that it's going to give you confidence not only in selling but also in delivering, and then that will build the competence, and that competence will give you that confidence. And when you're more confident, you're more likely to sell. So think through this a little bit. The idea here is sell, go out and sell, practice selling. Don't worry too much about pricing. I know there's just a ton of information on YouTube and online about the pricing. There's a lot of junk and there's a lot of good stuff. I'm not saying you don't have a pricing strategy and a revenue model. I'm specifically talking about initially when you're entering a new market, a new maybe tier of clients, going to a new vertical, or if you're just starting a business. I want you to build that sales muscle. I want you to build that delivery muscle. And there's no way to build those muscles without doing the reps. Okay, so don't worry too much about pricing initially. That's number one. The second piece of advice here is don't be picky. Be open minded. This is initially in these early phases. This is not the time to be picky with your leads, even if you don't like how one of them is dressed, or maybe the job itself doesn't align 100% with what you want to be ideally working on. And I'll give you an example. I remember one of our clients, a small business, very small business, was on a monthly retainer, a whopping $150 a month. That was our top retainer at the time. And one time they called and they said they needed us to fix their fax machine. This is when fax machines were a thing. And we were selling online marketing services. It has nothing to do with fax machines. So, I mean, what do I do? Our number one client, got to make them happy. So, ended up having, and I have no idea how to fix fax machines. So I had a good friend of mine, a geeky high school kid, who's a friend now. I think, I don't know, probably paid him $20 at the time. He went there, took care of it. The fax machine was done, was fixed, and the client was happy. And my high school friend also got $20. So that client uh, ended up moving up in our retainer pricing, and we were, I think, in a couple of months after that, they were very delighted, and we were at $500 a month. I mean, obviously, we were delivering on our services, not just the fax machine. But shows you that that was not a reasonable request. That was totally outside the scope, but we ended up doing it to keep the client happy. So just to wrap up this point, just working and moving, even if things are not great, is better than you sitting at home waiting for the perfect client. So with that, let's see here what questions we have. All right. If I'm starting my accounting business for medical offices, because that's my background, should I agree to do accounting in other areas? So the question here is about someone who is starting, so new, an accounting business, a CPA or bookkeeper or those sort of things for medical offices, because that's their background. So I guess background in accounting and medical offices. Should I agree to do accounting in other areas? I would say yes. Initially, you're starting. So just what I just said about just selling, I appreciate and I follow this concept of niching down. It's important. It differentiates you. You end up knowing the space really well. There are a lot of benefits of niching down, and I'm a big proponent of this. Initially, though, you want to get that revenue. You want to practice selling. You want to practice delivery. So if you tell me you want to go and offer IT consulting and you don't have experience in that, that's different. But if it is accounting, so in your area of expertise, maybe for you offer this for outside the medical offices, I think I would say yes. Again, don't bite on something that you can't chew initially. It's okay to be a little bit, I would say, not aggressive, but to be out there. And if you know 80-90% of the job and you can learn the 10%, on the job, that's fine. But I would say initially, yes. And sometimes you don't want to niche down too early because for a lot of reasons. Actually, there's a great book on niching called Niching Up by Chris Dreyer, I believe. Dreyer, great book, short book, not too long. So if you're thinking of, you're struggling between being a generalist and being a specialist, maybe you read that book. But initially, yes, for sure. Once you have a lot of clients, I think you can be a bit more choosy and you can be more focused on that niche. All right, thank you for that question. So we covered two things in terms of these principles or these pieces of advice. One was just go out and sell. Number two, don't be picky. And number three is go 10 extra miles for your first clients. I sort of touched on this earlier in that example about the fax machine, but I want you to have that mindset of going above and beyond to delight your first few clients. It goes without saying, you want to strive to satisfy your clients at any stage of your business. No clients, no services, bad reputation, bad word of mouth travels much faster, 5 times faster than good word of mouth. So take care of your clients at all phases of your business, but your very first clients, you want to do even a whole lot more. It is super critical. It is super essential to your success to have super delighted first few clients. So if it means staying up late, putting up with some attitude, doing a bit more training, doing a bit more services beyond the scope of the work, and doing things that you normally wouldn't do, I would say do it. Early on in your business, you have to do unscalable things in order to get to a level where you can scale your business. And I'll give you another example. And this is a true story. I'm not making this up. In one of our early businesses, that's when we were doing web design, one of our first clients was very difficult to deal with, very, very picky, very beyond reason. So, but my business partner who was actually delivering, I sold and moved on, and then my business partner has to deal with this. And I won't mention any more details about this client, just to respect the history that we've had with them, and maybe they're watching or listening now. And something good came out of this, but they made us do tens of iterations on this design that we were making, something that we could have capped at maybe 2 iterations for every other client. And even after we did something, um, uh, everything they wanted, they took months to pay us. And I had to call them and ended up actually going to their place many times to eventually collect. It was really difficult. I wasted so much time post delivery, like once we were done, uh, and almost gave up on collecting that. I think they owed us $2,000 at the time, but I had to do it. I mean, money was tight. Every penny counted. So we sold a design. It usually takes a couple iterations. It took us. They actually asked for tens of iterations. It took us forever to collect money from them, but eventually, they were happy at the end. I got an amazing testimonial from them, so we had it on our website, and I would share it with leads when leads would come our way. And then little did we know, but this client later, they brought us two more clients. They referred people to us. One of them was a very established uh, uh, business company, an attorney, that a firm that I sold a $6,000 project to, and that at that time, 6,000 was three times higher than what we were selling to other businesses. So that was a big deal for us. So that was one benefit of being patient with that difficult client. And then that difficult client, they ended up sending us another lead who became a client and introduced us to a network of business owners, which also generated a whole lot more business in the future. So patience and perseverance paid off handsomely. Now, reflecting on this experience many years later, now that I'm less judgy, I think it might not have been the fault of that client that they asked for a lot of iterations or they paid us late. It might have been that we also, on our end, we did not deliver to their expectations. I mean, we were still trying to figure out how to sell and how to deliver, and maybe our statement of work, our SOW, might might have might not have set up the right expectations in terms of the new iterations. Now I learned from that mistake, and I made sure in every new SOW we had, we would put the maximum number of iterations, right? So it could have been, but the bigger point here is that it could have been also our issue. We didn't know how to really deliver, and also how to make sure our statement of work is written well, and also that the payment terms were clearly defined. So regardless, the point here is that make sure that those very first few clients are delighted, and more business will come your way. And again, you can sell at a higher price point later. Good, good, good. Now the third point, and you might think this is not as related to pricing, but it is. But the fourth piece of advice, is to do things that can spread the word. There's no marketing stronger than old fashioned word of mouth, especially for a small business, especially for a new business. So if you have industry friends, relatives, or older clients, some clients you've had from a previous work or experience, reach out to them and tell them that I've started a business, or I'm getting into this area. You can let's say in your network, let's say you're trying to get into healthcare and you have friends who work in healthcare, so you can ask them about that vertical, about what they're paying for similar services. So getting the word out, spreading the word, this is more like marketing, but in this early stage, as you're building the business, or as you're entering a new segment, new vertical, collecting data from that network of friends and people is going to help you see what the going rates are for services like yours. Now also, and I always say, we all underutilize and we underestimate the power of our network and the power of our first new clients. It is, I think it's largely by fully delighting our first clients that we would get referrals from them. And then once we have those referrals, we don't have to sell at the same price as we sold to the first few clients. right? So we sold at a discount, we sold at a price point that we don't like and we cannot survive on for the long term, in the long term, but we got the clients, we got the logos. It's like sort of like a stepping stone that to get the next set of clients. And so make it a habit to check with your network and let them know what you're doing, and publicize that you have a business and now you have a client and you've helped those clients. Make it a habit to also ask for referrals from these same clients and be persistent. Sometimes it might take 2, 3 emails, a text message, maybe take them out to lunch, whatever the case might be, but they will give you referrals. Now, some are natural connectors and they'll do it very quickly and easily. Others, it might take a few nudges. But as I was saying earlier, when starting out, don't worry about, kind of to summarize this whole section here, or these 4 principles. Don't worry too much about what you're selling for. The point is, get those initial clients in this new sector, in this new vertical, or just in your business. We will cover, as I said earlier, next week, for those of you who maybe just joined, we will cover pricing models, how to benchmark your pricing, how to adopt um, different pricing strategies depending on the phase of the business you're in. We'll cover all of that in the next 2 weeks, in the next 2 live streams. But today, I want to make sure you have the right mindset of just going out and selling. Don't worry too much about pricing. But the question that I get as well, should I ever sell for free? That will be the last part of this episode. And before we get to that, let's see what questions we have. How do I get testimonials? Just ask for them. Well, 2 things actually. Delight the customer and then ask for testimonials. So it has to be a habit. This will be a second nature for you. Initially, everything is hard, my friend. Sales is hard. Delivery is hard. Marketing is hard. Hiring is hard. That's why it's hard to start a business. It's hard to build a business. It's hard to scale a business to 7 figures and 8 figures. And despite what you hear on YouTube, despite all this get rich quick schemes out there, it, no successful person has made it without working hard and learning new things. I'm not saying you have to suffer for the rest of your life. No, but initially you're building the foundation. You're building there's a lot of suffering and pain that go into building a foundation. And I'll quote Jensen Huang, the CEO, the visionary founder of NVIDIA, the company that is producing all that innovation around the processors that are enabling all the AI revolution that we're going through now. He said, he was addressing a group of students at Stanford. He said something to the effect that people who have high expectations, typically, I don't think he even said the word typically, those who have high expectations have low resilience. And without resilience, you cannot start and grow a business. And then he said, I'm going to wish pain and suffering on you in a happy way, because character is built after and through difficulty. And the building a company and having that vision and going through tough times and overcoming challenges, you need character. So think through this. Is if you're hearing a lot of questions about this is easy and that's easy. Yes, a lot of folks out there on YouTube, us included, we want to make it easier for you. We want to make it easier for you to start a business, to build a business, avoid the mistakes we've made. But don't conflate that with it's easy for me to start a business or buy a business or grow a business. It's hard work. So in terms of testimonials, once you get the first few clients, make sure they're very happy and then ask for those testimonials. You can make it part of your process in your follow-up emails. You can, when you meet with them to wrap up the project, again, don't ask for it prematurely. When you just sold the business, they don't know yet. They don't know if you're going to deliver or not. That will be very awkward. Deliver on what you sold. Make sure they're happy. and then ask for the testimonial, and then put that testimonial everywhere on your website, on your LinkedIn profiles, on your Upwork, whatever medium you're using to promote your services. Good questions. So we have a question from Pietri. Thank you for joining us here. How do you deal with hiccups with early product experience? So if I understand the question here is, so you have a product, it applies to services as well, and you're delivering that product, and there are hiccups. That all products have bugs, they have issues. I think, I mean, there are different ways. But for example, in startups, we say iterate on the go, iterate fast. So when you launch the product, I would say launch it in alpha and beta. I mean, Google does that. Gmail was in alpha and beta for 5 years or so. So you can launch, kind of manage the expectations of the clients. Maybe offer a discount for the early beta, offer it for free for a little bit to get that feedback, and then iron out all the wrinkles. And then if you've done that, and again, there are always issues with products, with services. I think the way you deal with those issues is going to show the culture, the character, the value of the company. So if there are issues and you respond to the issues and acknowledge those issues, and then let's say you have a SaaS product and you charge monthly, let's say $29 a month, maybe give that client who find this issue for you, or the experienced they had a bad experience with the product, offer them a free month of service, or I don't know, something that will make them feel better. So I think if you're just introducing a new product, and again, it applies to services, a new service, there will be hiccups. Maybe again, offered at this discount rate, manage those expectations. Or if this is already on a product that's out there, always be responsive to the client, acknowledge the issues, and be sincere in the sense that address those issues. So you can sort of shove them under the carpet and say, yeah, we'll add it to our feature enhancements. But no, if it's something that especially many users are facing, it's on you to take it and prioritize all these issues, and then fix them one thing at a time. Hopefully this is helpful. Let me know if you have any follow-up comments or questions. But thanks for joining us and asking this important question. So back about should we ever sell for free? A lot of business owners ask this question, and they go something like this: I have this great sounding prospect, and they're offering to get me exposure and connect me to their vast network, and I think it's a great opportunity, and it's going to take me a couple of months of work, or a month, or a week. Should I go for it? The short answer is no, but there are some exceptions. Selling for free is not a long-term strategy. You got to pay the rent, you got to make some profit, you got to hire people, you have to grow. Selling at a deeply discounted rate is not a long-term strategy either. But selling for free at times, or maybe at a discounted rate at times, will help you get a testimonial. We just said that. Someone asked. So you can say, for example, I mean, if you get in a testimonial where someone says, Jane, she walks on water, she knows accounting inside out, or John, he is just so generous with his time. He understood my financial needs, and he gave me this portfolio that now has done well for the last 5 years. I mean, if he can get one of those, testimonials, it is gold. I mean, it's people might look you in the eye and believe what you're saying, but if they see a third party, a customer in this case, an ex-customer or a current customer, sharing this good stuff about you, it's only going to help improve your position in the marketplace. And then you can even demand higher pricing when you have a lot of amazing testimonials. Now, of course, in terms of sort of doing things for free, you can also ask for a case study. Let's say you go and pitch someone and they don't have a budget. They really need your service. They don't have a budget. So you can be smart about how you would approach it and say, I'm happy to do this. And maybe you can scale down the scope of the work. I'm happy to do this for you. And I would appreciate it then, because I'm not charging you, if you can work on a case study. and get them to agree to it, hopefully in writing, and then make it very easy for them. You write the whole case study, they approve it, then they can put their name and their logo. And if they can share, hey, this consultant, this service provider, this product help us reduce our costs, increase our revenue, make us look better, increase our operational efficiency, whatever it is. If you can have that case study told by a third party, your customer, it is, I think, on the pyramid, if there's a pyramid for all the marketing assets and tools, like a branded case study showing how your solution solved a problem and impacted the bottom line for a customer, is probably on top of the pyramid. So again, this is, we're going through the list of things you can get out of doing things for free. Logos, you need logos, you need referenceable clients, and you get referrals. So those are all valid reasons where you can do things for free or at a deeply discounted rate. Now, in the very beginning of your business, maybe you can, like the specific scenarios here, you want to get into, it happened with me, we were working with the small mid-sized businesses, and we want to get into Fortune 500. This is after we became Google certified, and we were listed on the Google, on the list of Google certified partners next to some really big agencies at the time. And we want to get into large accounts. It was hard because a lot of these larger clients, they want to also look, has your agency done work for my peers? And if they don't see their peers, then like, okay, these guys, I don't want to be the guinea pig, right? So you can do things for free or at discounted rate when you work with, let's say you're working with a director of marketing at an enterprise, and they need your help, and they don't have the budget that quarter. So maybe you can do something for them to get in at maybe 50% the rate, or even sometimes do it at a minimal amount. And that would be something I would highly recommend you do to get into that new market, to get that large client. You can also, another reason is you can do offer your services or product for free to give back to a cause you believe in, and I'll touch on this in a little bit. Or think of it as a loss leader. So if a prospective client has a large scope of work, that could be a consistent boon for you. You might price the first project at a heavily discounted rate as a loss leader. So you're pricing it at a break even, or even at a loss, to prove that you're worth for the larger future projects. Again, everything I'm saying here, or most of it, is not applicable later in your growth, when you have a when you're beyond that initial phase. Actually, doing this strategy later, it will be counterproductive. You could lose your shirt on it. We'll cover this next week. But almost everything here is applicable to that early phase. So keep that in mind, especially if you're just dialing in later. So many other, we're talking about a loss leader. Many industries offer loss lead tactics. So if you've ever seen a convenience store, they offer a 99-cent jumbo coffee. It's an incentive to get you in the door, and then you end up buying a magazine, a donut, milk, eggs, and a whole lot of other things that maybe even you don't need, at a much higher margin. So that's one thing, loss leader. Another thing is, in terms of offering things for free, maybe you can offer a sample of your work. This might not apply to some services, but think of it creatively. When working with a prospective client on a potential larger thing, let's say you're in the sustainable lawn care business. So you might I'll just do a small portion of someone's backyard, front yard, or do something that doesn't take you a whole lot of time and money, but show them what you can do, because that's something maybe they can see. Maybe you can plan things for them, or you can just share with them something that you've done for others. But you can include, let's say if you're in professional services, you do accounting, or you do coaching, or you do let's say you do process certification. I mean, you name it. Potentially web design, analytics, marketing, search engine marketing. You can do a sample audit of of their environment. Now, this might take you 5 hours, 10 hours. Yes, initially it's okay. They might not buy from you. Initially, it's okay. But if you provide a sample audit, or maybe a micro-sized service within your proposal, and say upon the completion of this audit, or you will then these are the terms, and this is what I will end up selling. That might be it is a very, very valid tactic, and it is you're showing your interest, your commitment to this client, and they're seeing the value. I remember in another business, our analytics business, eSense, that I'm still involved in now. We're very established in MENA, in the MENA region, and we have a presence in Germany as well. And this is when we're entering the US market again. We didn't have a lot of US clients at the time, and we want to get into, again, the Fortune 500. So our team ended up doing, I think, maybe 30 plus hours of this massive audit for a global brand. I can tell you that this initial investment led to, and still leading to, 6-digit type revenue. So it was a big risk, big investment, but it paid off. And I'm not saying this pays off every time. You have to be judicious and make sure the client is the right client and they have the budget and all these other things, which we can cover later. But showing a sample of your work, whether it's something you can do for 2-3 hours, or later, if you're more established and you have larger clients, you can spend more time on this. That is a sure way to get you in the door and to show the value that you offer and your expertise. And you're providing that instant free value that exceeds their expectations and leaves a favorable impression. So I know you might not win the contract, and you shouldn't be doing this free stuff all the time, but I guarantee you'll be on the short list for future projects and proposals. And keep in mind, if you're interacting with 3-4 people and you left a positive impression on all of them, these people at one point in time, they'll move on and work for another company. So those become future leads for you as well. Good. So let's see what questions we have before I cover the last section of the episode today. Now, the question here is, if my business is not brand new, should I work for free to get a good client, even if my business is not brand new? I think we just covered this. Maybe the question came in after we covered the part. But yeah. If, again, what I covered today applies for new businesses, of course. But even in our case, when we were, I'll give you an example, when we were doing web design, and we wanted to pivot, or at that point we wanted to augment our services and add search engine optimization services and pay-per-click search engine marketing services. So this is maybe a year plus into the business. We started to figure out how to sell and how to deliver web design, but online marketing was really new. That was like in the early days of Yahoo and Google. So we saw the potential. We wanted to ride that wave of online marketing. So we started to get larger clients because there were very few agencies who were Google certified in pay-per-click and search engine marketing. So yes, that the strategies I outlined earlier do apply, do work well if you want to get a specific client. And again, it doesn't work every time. You might have to do this sample audit or this free work for 3 clients to get that one large client. But at the end of the day, especially if you have like a recurring revenues thing, or the project, the price of your service is high. So even if you end up doing free work for 3 leads and one of them buys, you still come on top. So yes, okay to do it initially to get a great client, or to get into a new segment, or to get into a new tier of clients. I'll give you the go ahead to do it. All right. So the few caveats here on doing this heavily discounted rates or free, before we wrap up the episode. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment on whichever platform you're on, LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. or just fill out the question in the form in the description. But yeah, selling for free or at a discount has caveats you need to be aware of. Be cautious of unscrupulous actors, these these people who want to exploit your need to get experience. Some people there's some sharks out there, and they know that you're new, they know that you want to get into this new market, and they want to exploit that, and they won't reciprocate with referrals or testimonials or case studies. So that's why I mentioned doing a small project, something that will not take a substantial amount of time. Now, my second caveat is be aware of those who approach you from the get-go and request free work. If like right away before anything they say, yeah, we can you do this for free, and this happens. You might not think that people do this. Some people do this. uh, Again, they might in return promise exposure, to like their vast network of clients, or they will add you to their newsletter and they only have 20 people on their newsletter. Like, who cares, right? But in my experience, these types of people never deliver on their promises. So, but if you have to go that route, because again, you're still figuring things out, put things in writing, a formal contract with scope, expectations, timeline. It's always important. And even if you do something for free, always have things well defined and written out. It is important, which leads me to my last point here, is on working to give back to the community. This is where I do unequivocally advocate providing your services for free. Again, early on, maybe very difficult, so maybe you can offer just a little bit of your service because you can't afford it and you're working really hard to make ends meet. But if you know me at all, you know that I'm a big fan of giving back. And even when cash flow was really tight in the early days of our few businesses, and budget was really tight, um, I was always able to find ways to offer a service to a nonprofit. It could be you attend their weekly marketing meeting for a couple of weeks and give guidance if marketing is your background, or maybe you can take a look at their accounting practices and give him some tips. So it might cost you a couple hours here and there. But if you have an expertise in an area, you have insights you can offer for free for a cause that you believe in, I think that's helpful. And then it could be a local nonprofit, it could be a national advocacy group, it could be a charitable organization. There are countless organizations that could greatly benefit from your expertise, and they might not have the means to afford it or even seek it out. Now, very important here, the benefits of you doing this. uh, I think that the internal reward, the feelings that you receive from contributing and paying it forward for others, uh, and always, I think it's really important. That's all about intentionality and about like inside. It's don't give with expectations of something in return. Give generously to the extent that you can, um, even if it's $10 a month, $5 a month, an hour a month. Uh, But in my experience in life and business, I'm always amazed how much comes back when you give freely. Don't go into a nonprofit or a cause and offer it for a return. Just do it because you believe in the cause and you want to help these people, and then things happen in the universe in a very amazing way. Whatever your belief system is, um, I've seen it personally and with others. You give, and then a lot comes back your way. So never never offer your pro bono services with strings attached. That's a good way to develop a poor reputation. And even, I mean, I'll end up with a couple of things. One is, even for this nonprofit work, make sure you document, even if you're doing it for free, make sure you document what you're doing. It's not a formal contract if you're doing it for free, but say, here's the scope of work, here's what I'll be doing, here's what I expect you to do, here's the timeline. make all that clear, because the last thing you want to do is that you end up putting a lot of time into this nonprofit work, and then they have different expectations, just like customers sometimes do, and then they're not happy with what you've done. You're not happy with them. It ends up being a really, really bad experience for everyone involved. So do put things in writing, regardless of whether it's for profit or not, whether it's free or not. Put things in writing. All right. We are coming to the end of this episode, and I think we have one more question before we wrap up. So, how do you find nonprofits to donate your time to? And there's another question: how do you find time to donate to your nonprofits? Again, initially it's hard. Because I'm always saying, like, put all your energy into the business initially. So putting time into a nonprofit, maybe again, do it once a month, an hour on a phone, help someone, help a new consultant in your field who's struggling more than you are. Just find ways to help, be of service to others. But in terms of how to find nonprofits, I mean, every one of us is different. We like different things. A friend of mine in Sacramento, he loves dogs, and his dog passed away, and he ended up um, supporting a local nonprofit that took care of pets, and they have a pet shelter. So just to find something that resonates with you. It could be going out to Habitat for Humanity. It could be, if you are believe in a strong cause, national cause, you can support them through maybe knocking on doors and distributing flyers. If you're politically active, this is an election year here in the US, you can support the party that you like, and go out. We won't get into politics on this channel, but find a cause. Search locally in your neighborhood. If you're good in math, maybe you can offer underprivileged children, young adults, teenagers, tutoring, whatever the case might be. I think search locally, just as you're doing your daily walk, or as you're driving. Just how can I be of help? What is it that I have that other people don't have? And find where you can apply that service. Sometimes it's just physical work. You go to Habitat for Humanity. I used to go there, take some youth with us, and help build a house. It could be something where you can apply your expertise. It could be go to like a phone bank and call people and solicit on behalf of a nonprofit. So a lot of different ways. Just I would say either a cause you believe in, because a lot of causes here in the US, or it could be something very local and something very close to you, or maybe you have a family member who is impacted by an addiction or by a disease, by an illness, and you want to support that cause. So find something that really resonates with you, and try different things, and then you might find something more appealing to you than something else, and something more rewarding than others. So with that, we have one question here on LinkedIn. What other platforms is this live stream aired on? Thank you for the question. So we air on Facebook. We have the Startup with Ferris page. We have, I think, my personal Facebook as well. We have it live streamed on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on YouTube, and we're trying to get it to air on Instagram, and we're having an issue. I think there's a new integration between the streaming software we have and we're using, and also Instagram. But yeah, you can find us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and let us know if there are any other issues. So thank you for the question. We appreciate you dialing in. And again, as we conclude here, we are in the middle of this pricing series. So next week we'll be talking. There are a couple of topics I want to cover over the next couple of weeks. One is the different pricing models, and different ways you can price your service, and then also how you benchmark and how you change your pricing and revenue model, as you go through different stages of your business. So thank you so much for dialing in. Thank you for the questions that you send us, and I'd love for you, if you're liking this content, to hit the subscribe or follow button, to hit the like button, and let us know. You can go to startupwithferris.com and join our newsletter, The Daily Advisor. We send it Monday through Friday, with tips and strategies to help you start, build, and grow your business to 7 and 8 figures. So thank you again, and see you next time.